Welcome back. We can talk now to Mel Stride, who is the Shadow Chancellor of the Exchequer. Good to have you here this morning.
Thanks, Sophie.
I just want to talk on, if I may, at the beginning on Lord Mandelson. He's obviously resigned his membership of the Labour Party. We spoke to the government earlier today who said that they're glad that he's resigned. Do you think that we need to go further? Do you think that he should be stripped of his titles, I guess in the same way as Prince Andrew, the guy formerly known as Prince Andrew?
Well, good morning. I think a few things, actually. I think the Prime Minister should have shown more backbone and basically pushed Lord Mandelson out of the Labour Party and not have left it for him to decide he was going to resign. I think the second thing, though, is that in terms of his title, I think it's quite complicated constitutionally, actually, to remove somebody from the House of Lords, as I understand it. But I don't think Peter Mandelson belongs in the House of Lords. And I think there are other things you can do, including removing him from the role of peers as a way of downgrading his current situation.
Yeah, so you don't think he belongs in the House of Lords?
No, I don't believe so. Not given what we know and what has happened, and him having to have been fired as US ambassador and so on and so forth. I just don't think that adds up to the right answer being him staying there. But I would say one final thing, which is that more and more information is coming out of the woodwork through time. Now, some of it, of course, contested by Lord Mandelson, and that's fine. But we do need to get to the truth. We need to get to the facts. And I think we now need a full independent inquiry into all the facts around what has happened here and the broader issues around the information that's coming out in this giant haystack of data that people are now going through around the Epstein affair.
Yeah, I guess in moving away from Lord Mandelson, as you say, he contests a lot of it. He said he doesn't recall some of it. He doubts the authenticity of some of it. But I guess the wider thing that we're seeing is someone who is very rich and powerful, and the influence that they are able to get among members of the elite. I mean, I guess it almost validates the concerns that people had all along about the way the rich and powerful behave.
I think the thing that we mustn't lose sight of in all of this is whether it's rich and powerful people or not, there are victims, and there are women that have suffered grievously as a consequence of the behaviour of various individuals. And I think we owe it to them, amongst other issues, to actually get to the bottom of this. So when it comes to testifying, for example, to Congress, I think that Peter Mandelson should do that. I think that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor should also do that. And that is about getting to the truth, because these are very, very serious issues for those who have been deeply impacted by them.
You're doing a speech later today about trade. What's the main message there?
That free trade matters, that we should stand up for it, that we need a voice that's out there, and it is the Conservative Party that puts the case for free trade, that tariffs are damaging overall to living standards, to jobs, and so on, and that we've seen in this new world under President Trump too readily reaching for tariffs, not just in terms of trying to improve the terms of trade for America, but equally being used as a way of trying to coerce other countries into doing things that he wants them to do, including ceding sovereign territory from fellow NATO members. So I think we need to have a voice that's out there in the public square, unequivocally standing up for free trade. Are you saying that
Keir Starmer should be more robust in standing up to Donald Trump, more critical of Donald Trump?
I think all parties, I would urge them to do that, and to be a clear, unequivocal voice standing up for free trade. Now, the party that worries me the most in that respect actually is Reform, because if you look at what they say and what Nigel Farage says, they'll often lean positively into President Trump, and rightly so on issues like spending more on defence. We can all agree on that. But when it comes to things like tariffs, they're far too quiet, and the national interest seems to go out the window. They're far more interested in cozying up to President Trump on issues like that than is healthy for people up and down our country.
I can see who you're worried about in the local elections.
Well, it's not a question of that. I'm speaking today.
I mean, you're right. I'm not.
I'm speaking today.
Criticising.
Well, the hook for this.
Polls show Reform way ahead. So you're right to be.
The poll that will matter will be at the general election. Then let's see what happens at May. In the meantime, but the hook for this, actually, Sophie, is that I'm giving a speech later this morning, to the British American companies group, and we will be talking about these kind of issues because I think they matter.
I think it's fair to say you're probably more to the centre than the right of the Conservative Party. More in the camp that says you need to emphasise economic credibility rather than trying to out-reform reform. So do you think it's a good thing that people like Robert Jenrick, like Suella Braverman, have left the Conservative Party to join Reform? Well,
you mentioned the economy. And that's the most important thing as we go forward now is, I think, increasingly going to be the economy. Where I stand on the economy is that we need a radical, emphasise the word radical, rewiring of the UK economy, if we're going to get it growing in a way that will meet the challenges that are coming down the line.
So the question was about
country.
Robert Jenrick and Suella Braverman, though. So
but my point is, yes, but I was coming on to that. But they've gone to a party that is economically incoherent and will, I think, represents a present danger to the economy of our country, because none of the numbers add up. So they go out and they make all these promises about cutting taxes left, right and centre. No proper plan as to how that is going to be paid for. And that is something where we've seen that playbook before and we know where it ends. They're also the party of nationalisation if they think that plays well. They're the party of spending more on welfare, on not getting on top of the benefits bill and so on. That's not the party that I believe in. So, the party I believe in is the one that wants to get on top of welfare and to get the economy radically rewired.
The question is then, do you think it's a good thing that people like Robert Jenrick, like Suella Braverman, have left the Conservatives to join Reform?
Well, those are decisions for them. I just find it very deeply curious as to why they would do that, given the economic policies, in particular, of the Reform Party, which are reckless and irresponsible. So there we go.